Hey guys. Okay. It was all over in an instant. I was left speechless and in awe. The adrenaline still pumping didn't allow me to feel the soreness in my body. There I just sat in my car while the rainwater kept leaking into the sunroof. The will I knew existed to a crashing fall as if smacking across the face, as if trying to wake me from the reality I knew. I had just had my first car accident. It was my overconfidence of my car's ability that led to the loss of my car. I, like most people driving, had only one thought in mind: it will never happen to me. I know how to drive. How many of you exactly know how long it will take for your car to stop if you stop on the brakes going 70 miles per hour in the rain? No? Yeah, not too many, huh? How many of you know when you're driving on an on-ramp or off-ramp, like know exactly how close you are from losing control? How many of you guys check your tire pressures at least once a month just to make sure that they're properly inflated to ensure optimum traction, or even if they're deflated to prevent blowouts? Oh, cool. Good. But like I said, most of us don't. Don't you think that maybe it would be sort of useful to know that, say, in a situation for needing to come to complete stop as soon as possible, or needing to dodge an obstacle in the freeway? Don't you think you need to know that kind of information? Don't you think even more so if it was raining? If it wasn't until I got into racing that I really was able to understand that driving a car is so much more involved and complex than just stopping, going, and turning. This is especially true when you add the unknown factor of driving on the street, when anything can happen at any time. These scenarios accompanied with inexperience that causes the majority of our accidents. According to AARP, 70% of accidents are caused by user error. Doesn't that sound like a big room for improvement? 70%. This is why everyone needs to take and pass a high-performance defensive driving course. Drivers are unaware of the dangers associated with driving. It's simply an experience. You're not going to know until you've tried it. It took all of us a couple of tries when we first started to learn how to drive to be able to smoothly brake the car without throwing everyone towards the front. We all remember that? But after a while, you learn how the car responds to your input. Well, the same applies to controlling your car in emergency situations. Since most of us have never really dealt with it, there aren't really any way to really physically or mentally prepare for such a situation. As I stated before, this is how the accidents come about. How many of us honestly go out to the middle of a pouring storm and try slamming your brakes at 60 miles per hour just to see how far you're going to slide? Just to test it out in case, just for that situation that comes up. You don't. Or take a turn so fast that you spin out of control on purpose just to learn, hey, maybe I shouldn't go that fast on the turn. As important as these pieces of information are to know, I think it's safe to say that under normal circumstances, most of us don't do that for the sake of making ourselves a better driver, and this is the issue that needs to be resolved. High-performance defensive course will help reduce our accidents. Instead of slamming your brakes in the middle, in the rain in the middle of a freeway for educational purposes, I would recommend taking a high-performance driving school. Here you will receive hands-on training with your car to learn how it will really respond under real emergency situations, without, of course, the negative consequences. When you learn where exactly are the limits of your car, you will start to drive under the appropriate speeds for turns and know exactly how much time to give yourself in case the car in front of you slams the brakes for whatever reason. Okay, you learn to maintain tire pressures that can dramatically affect the car's braking, accelerating, and turning, while also, of course, preventing blowouts. This easily makes a difference between life and death. Although no real statistics are available on how many accidents were actually prevented by taking such courses, an article on Edmunds.com said that they actually asked the individual who took the course, and they 4 to 5 who they asked said that the course had opened up their eyes to the real dangers of actually driving on the road, and they said they would definitely be actually changing how they do drive on the road. Current driving requirements are not enough. Passing your written behind the wheel test doesn't necessarily mean you're ready to face anything that's thrown at you. It just means you're able to stop, go, turn, and obey traffic signals and have the infamous hand directional signals mastered. It's human nature to learn from experience, especially in the car, a machine where you have to learn how to operate, and even more importantly, how to operate safely. They don't teach you how to dodge a refrigerator on the freeway or on your behind the wheel exam, or teach you that in the rain your braking distance can increase by over 50%. All this shows that our system is inadequate in showing us how the real dangers that really do exist on the road, but are just overlooked and disregarded. Normally when you make a mistake, you learn from it, and you get another chance to make the same mistake next time. But when it comes to driving, there may not be a next time. This is the advantage of taking high-performance driving courses, because the environment provides commonly seen scenarios, dangerous scenarios, in safe settings, and point out mistakes one can learn from, and use that knowledge toward avoiding dealing with that scenario in real life. You might have only one chance to make the right decision, so why is that so important to make the same mistake when you make the road? When you make out on the road, you make it. What did I say? Mistakes you would make out on the road when in a closed racetrack environment where the only danger are the cones. The only ones at danger are the cones. Don't you think we have a chance at avoiding an accident if you had some training? I know I would have. This is why taking high-performance defensive driving classes can greatly reduce the odds of having an accident that could have been easily avoided to begin with.
Yeah.
Just my name, I guess.
That's okay. I got it.
All right, Jonathan, it takes you 2.5 minutes to get to what the proposition is, so it's a little bit late in the presentation. You kind of repeat the proposition 3.5 minutes into the speech as a claim of policy, and so it does get a little redundant here. The argument needs to be that these kinds of driving courses make a difference in the ability of people to protect themselves on the road. If you were a salesperson for somebody who is offering these kinds of courses, you're basically making an argument, you need this particular course, or this course is going to make a difference in your life. Now, you've got a lot of hypotheticals that you've described, and I think that they're pretty good. You've got some factual data about the distances in the rain and braking and those kinds of things, but what you need a lot more of is data that says that this kind of training makes some sort of difference, or even that more extensive training is worthwhile at all. And I think that that's the thing that's missing the most from the speech. You need a clearer organizational structure. I think in the summary you had a little bit more structure about what you were saying when we're looking back at the ideas, but there needs to be a setup here so that it's driven by the argument and not just by the incidents as you're presenting it. All right, people have lost their patience with me, I can tell. I will see you on